using magic brooms and boasting about our battles. That's right, it's Disney Sorcerers Arena Epic Alliances from the Op. In this strategic skirmish game, two teams of summoners form alliances with the heroes and villains from the Disney and Pixar universe. Over a series of rounds, each team controls multiple characters, maneuvering and fighting on the game board. Holding special golden hexes or knocking out enemy characters will earn players victory points. The player with the most victory points at the end of the game wins. Setup begins with the arena game board placed center, with a set of blue starting spaces facing each team of players or summoners. We're setting up for a two-player game today, one summoner per team. Each team will have 3 different characters. For the first few games, it might be best to select players' favorites, but in future games, teams should draft characters. Starting with the player who most recently watched a Disney film, their team chooses one character. We'll call that Team A. Then Team B selects 2 characters, followed by Team A selecting 2, and then Team B selects 1 more. Each team will take their character ability cards and turn order tiles, character standees, bases, and summoner indicator rings, assembled like so, with the ring pointing to their starting hit points. Character decks, shuffled together to form a single draw deck per summoner, and reference card for the Chapter 3 and 4 versions of the game. We're setting up for the full game today. Chapters 1 and 2 contain a simplified tutorial version of the game. See the rulebook if you want those details. Next, create a supply of status effect tiles, status counters, and victory point tokens. Summoners now choose the turn order for the game by secretly stacking their character turn order tiles in their preferred order. Once both teams have made their choice, they reveal their stack. Each tile has a character's starting health, victory point value for knocking them out, summoner indicator based on team color, 1 for each side, and initiative value. Compare the first revealed character's initiative values. The summoner whose character has the lower initiative value places the team's tile in their selected order in the 1st, 3rd, and 5th positions, while the other summoner places theirs in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th. Place the turn order marker on the first character's turn order tile. Characters on the same team are considered allies, and characters on the opposing team are their rivals. Finally, each summoner draws a starting hand of cards equal to the hand size shown on each of their team's character ability cards, each of which has a card value on the top right. Then add them all together, and that is that summoner's hand limit. Each summoner gets 1 mulligan. If they dislike their starting hand, they may shuffle those cards back into their deck and draw a new starting hand. Each character ability card also has a name and portrait, hand size, starting health, and victory point value, standard values for movement and action, skills, gear distribution, and upgrade cost. More on how all those work in just a sec. Gameplay occurs in rounds, where each character will take a turn based on the current placement of the turn marker. Each turn is divided into 3 phases: starting phase, main phase, and ending phase. First up, of course, we have the starting phase. The active character has 1 status counter removed from each of their status effect tiles. If the last counter is ever removed from a tile, it's returned to the supply. More on status effects shortly. Next, if the active character is standing on one of the 3 golden victory point spaces, their summoner gains 1 victory point from the supply. If the character is knocked out, then their starting hit points are restored and they are placed on any unoccupied back row starting space on either side of the arena, even on the opposing summoner's side. Finally, the summoner draws 1 card from their deck to end the starting phase. Next, in the main phase, the active character will have the option to take up to 3 sub-phases: the movement phase, the action phase, and the skills phase. The summoner can choose to take some or all of these, and they can do so in any order, but they can only do each once per main phase. In the movement phase, the character may use the standard movement or play a movement card. Using the standard movement allows the summoner to move the character's standee up to a number of spaces on their ability card in any direction. Additionally, they may discard any one movement card to add one space to this standard movement, and the discarded movement card doesn't have to match the active character. Characters may move through spaces occupied by allies, but not by rivals, and they must end their movement in an unoccupied space. When playing a movement card, they play a movement card of the active character from their hand, follow its instructions, and then place it onto their discard pile. We'll look at all of the cards in detail in just a sec. In the action phase, the character has similar choices. They can use the standard attack or play an action card. When using the standard attack, the character may deal their standard attack damage found on their ability card to a rival in an adjacent space. Additionally, they may discard any one attack card to add 1 damage to this standard attack. Damage is tracked on the health dial, but some game effects might reduce or even prevent this damage. When playing an action card, the summoner plays one of the character's action cards from their hand and resolves its effects before placing it in the discard. In the skills phase, the active character may use any or all of the skills listed on their ability card. Some skills require a discard of cards from the summoner's hand, and a summoner cannot discard a single card to activate multiple effects. Next, in the ending phase, if the summoner controlling the active character holds more than their hand limit of cards, they discard down to the limit, then slide the turn marker to the next character turn order tile in the row. If the marker is on the last tile, it returns to the top of the order and a new round begins. Now let's check out some more game mechanics. First, let's look at the battle cards, each of which has a character portrait and name, card name, slashes showing how many copies of this card are in that character's deck, phase banner, either movement, action, or both, which can be played as either movement or action, card type symbols, effect text, and gear type. Many game effects, including most action cards, have an effect type in their text, either a direct effect, which requires a specific target in order for it to be used, or an indirect effect, which sets a category of characters that are all affected, such as each adjacent character or each ally. Additionally, some effects have a range, which is the number of spaces from the active character to the target, with a range of 1 being adjacent. Gear types. Each card in a character's deck has a gear type, either fire, heart, shell, or wind. During their turn, between phases, the active character may upgrade by banishing the required amount of cards from their discard. Banished cards are removed from the game. So, in the case of Sorcerer's Apprentice Mickey, we'd banish 2 wind and 2 shell cards from the discard to upgrade him. Upgrading flips the ability card to its other side, which contains a special upgraded ability. The gear distribution column on the character's ability card shows the summoner how many of each type are in their deck. Status effects come in 2 types, triggered and constant. Triggered effects occur when status counters are removed during the status phase, while constant effects are active at all times. The back of the rulebook has a quick reference for details on specific status effects. Now for the good stuff, scoring victory points. There are 2 main ways to score. If the active character is standing on one of the 3 golden victory point spaces in their starting phase, they gain 1 VP token. If a character's hit points are reduced to 0, that character is knocked out, removed from the board, and their status effects are cleared from their turn order tile. The character's rival summoner that knocked them out takes VP tokens from the supply equal to the knocked out character's VP value. Rounds continue with characters duking it out and fighting for control of those special golden hexes. The game ends at the end of any round where one of 2 conditions are met. Either a summoner scored their 20th victory point, or a summoner needs to draw a card and their draw deck is empty. At the end of that round, the team with the most victory points wins. The team play rules, where 2 players on each team duke it out, include slight variations. 2 teams of 2 summoners each control 2 characters each for a total of 4 characters per team. In the beginning of the game, summoners will secretly choose their turn order tile stacks without sharing that information with their teammate before the reveal. And all hand sizes increase by 2 cards beyond their character's hand values. See the rulebook for more team play rules and tutorial versions of the game for teaching new folks. And that's the basics of Disney Sorcerers Arena Epic Alliances. I'm Becca Scott. This is Good Times Society, and I'm ready to rumble. You can watch me and my friends play this very game on Gameplayed. I'm gonna film it in like 2 hours from now, so I'll put a link in the description below and you can come watch. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and keep on coming back for more great games and good times. Bye-bye.